Hey, Rob from Order 42 here, and today we've got the news. I know I say this like every week, but there's a lot going on. There's just a ton. I mean, we've got a slew of new trailers, a lot of movie news, and a lot of streaming news. Yes, Paramount Plus enters the fray. So yeah, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We've always got, I mean, tons of things going on: reviews, interviews, and of course the news. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, first up, let's talk about trailers. So, yeah, last week a couple of new trailers came out that I basically just kind of forgot to talk about. So I just want to quickly just go over those real quick. We got the trailer for Cruella from Disney, and yeah, I mean it's caused a bit of a kerfuffle on the internet about I mean do women actually get to be villains, or do they have to have this complicated backstory that maybe they're just misunderstood or whatever? All I have to say is I thought that it looked interesting, and even though like a lot of people have said it looks sort of like Disney's take on the Joker, it still looks interesting, and of course Emma Stone is fantastic. She looks great in the role. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how this one goes. And yeah, we got the Mortal Kombat trailer, of course, again, last week with right alongside that Cruella trailer. And yeah, this comes out April 16th. I got to be honest, I'm not like super excited for it. It did look kind of cool, and I mean, let's be honest, video game movies have not been the best. So, if they can at least get the feel of the video game correct, I mean, that's at least a plus, right? I'm interested to see if this is going to be sort of like the other Mortal Kombat movies we've seen, where it's almost like there's just a shell of a story just kind of tying together different scenes, little fights between characters and stuff. I mean, it could be awesome. It could be amazing. I don't know. I just, like I said, I'm trying to temper my expectations a bit and just say, hey, maybe it's just worth a watch. And just the other day, we got a look at Army of the Dead from Zack Snyder. And yeah, this is coming out in May on Netflix. And I guess what's interesting about this one is more about the premise of it. It's basically a heist movie in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. I mean, that kind of sounds interesting. But of course, what does money matter in the zombie apocalypse? But hey, we'll see how this one goes. Of course, I'm interested. It's going to be on Netflix, so it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be able to watch. It's going to be interesting because there's also a planned anime that's going to go along with it. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes. And finally, we got the trailer for Luca, a new Pixar movie, and I gotta say, this one looks. It doesn't look exactly like the kind of movie that I would love to watch, but it's just gorgeous. So it's going to be interesting to watch and see if people respond to it. I mean, it is based in Italy, and of course the two characters are, their little quirk is that they're like mer people. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It looks fun. I mean, I guess we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. So now for the news, and this was actually I really like this. I mean, in a genius bit of marketing from Marvel. We had Jacob Batalon and Zendaya and Tom Holland all tweeting out versions of what they thought the title might be. There was Home Slice and Home Wrecker, because of course there was Homecoming and then Far From Home. So yeah, it was kind of funny in this little 30-second little video clip of them sort of saying, yeah, they're not going to give us the title, and they walk by a whiteboard which shows the new title, which is No Way Home. So that is the title for the next Spider-Man movie premiering December 2021. Of course, I'm looking forward to this. There's no telling, how this is all going to tie together with supposedly with WandaVision and the new Doctor Strange movie, The Multiverse of Madness. Of course, there's been talk of Andrew Garfield coming in and Tobey Maguire coming in. So, and we've already got Electro, right? Jamie Foxx's Electro is going to be in the movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. It's going to be fun. So yeah, I guess we'll keep an eye on it. So we also got dates from Disney on a couple of upcoming projects that are very interesting to me. But we've got the Bad Batch coming out on May 4th, and we've got Loki coming out on June 11th. So it's really interesting kind of seeing what Marvel is doing, what Disney's doing with their product, right? Their staggering releases. So WandaVision's season finale, series finale, we don't know yet. We don't really understand where they're going with it, but the finale is this Friday. And then 2 weeks later, Falcon and Winter Soldier starts. Then we're going to have the Bad Batch, and then we're going to shortly have Loki. So there really seems to be this push now, where there's going to be constant product coming out on Disney Plus. So it's really, really fun to see. And of course, Bad Batch, you know me. I mean, I'm a Star Wars freak, and of course, Bujo and I did our little podcast on the Clone Wars. The Bad Batch is a sort of a spin-off of that, so I'm very, very happy to see that. I'm very excited. And Loki looks just crazy. It just looks nuts. And it's exactly what what I like to see. I've also been thinking that maybe of course, it may be too late for speculation now on WandaVision, but I always thought, man, wouldn't it be weird if Loki was in WandaVision? And it would kind of tie into this whole idea of the multiverse of madness, and that, Loki, there's a different version of Loki out there. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but yeah, I'm super excited for both of these. So yeah, stay tuned for more. So in a bit of surprising news, we get this news that Ta-Nehisi Coates is going to be writing a Superman reboot for DC and Warner Brothers, with J.J. Abrams producing. I mean, I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, there was talk a couple of years ago about J.J. Abrams possibly coming in to direct a Superman movie, not necessarily a reboot. So it's going to be interesting what they're doing here, because I can't see what they're doing. Because Wonder Woman is sort of still a part of that, I guess you could say, the Snyderverse, right? And then they're apparently going a different way with Robert Pattinson's Batman. So is this going to be separate from that? Is it going to be a different, almost like a different timeline? We don't really know, because I would love to see Henry Cavill back as Superman. And of course, he's expressed a lot of interest in interviews that he would love to get back into playing Superman, but I don't know. I don't know where this is actually going, and there's no plot yet. There's no attachments. It's basically, yeah, hey, we started work on this, but we don't know anything. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this. So here's another bit of news coming out of nowhere and surprising, pretty much everybody, right? We're getting a Terminator anime series at Netflix. So, okay. It's I didn't see it coming. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. This is going to be written by Mattson Tomlin, who also wrote the Batman, the upcoming Robert Pattinson Batman. He will also serve as showrunner and executive producer. He says, anyone who knows my writing knows I believe in taking big swings and going for the heart. I'm honored that Netflix and Skydance have given me the opportunity to approach Terminator in a way that breaks conventions, subverts expectations, and has real guts. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds interesting. There's a lot of people that when they hear the words subverting expectations, they twitch a little bit, because of, The Last Jedi or whatever. But to me, that's kind of what you need sometimes to move forward, to really push a new direction, is to twist things around and change things up. And I'm excited for that. The production IG president and CEO, Mitsuhisa Ishikawa, said, I asked my longtime friend and colleague, Mamoru Oshii, what he thought about the idea of turning the Terminator into an animated series. His response was, Ishikawa, are you out of your mind? At that instant, I was confident we should get on board. As huge fans, our team at Production IG is putting their heart and souls into creating this series. We hope fans will enjoy it. Look, this is one of those things. It's a weird situation. It's something nobody expected. It could be amazing. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes out of this, because I always think of the Animatrix as one of those gold standards of something where they really took things into a lot of different directions with that. And it was so interesting to see the world that they had created in the movies, and having someone else come in and really fill out the rest of the universe. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but that's what I'm expecting from this. And that's where it could get really, really interesting. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this one. And we also got the news the other day that season 4 of Cobra Kai production is officially ready to start. This is really, really interesting because I mean they are really just cranking these out, you know. So I'm excited to see, especially after that the way that Cobra Kai season 3 wrapped up. I'm interested to see where that's going to go and how things are going to develop. But there was the news that Vanessa Rubio, who plays Carmen, right, Miguel's mother, and Peyton List, who plays Tori, have been sort of upgraded to parts of the main cast. So apparently, we're going to see a lot more of them in this season. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm as a casual fan of Cobra Kai, I'm interested to see if they can keep up the momentum that they've gathered. So yeah, I mean we'll keep an eye on it, and I'm excited. Now here's another bit of news that was like, okay, what? Face Off 2. The script is almost complete, aiming to be a definitive follow-up to the original. And there's a lot of this has sort of been one of those things that you see every now and then. It would pop up and be like, yeah, they're going to do a Face Off sequel. Oh, they're going to do a Face Off reboot or a remake. And of course, the big popular thing lately has been the idea that you have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, right? These two actors that they're friends, but they play fight, on the internet and stuff like that. It would be awesome to see them in a movie like this together. It could have been awesome, but that's not where they're going with this. I mean, they are saying that this is a sequel. Now, this is going to be run by the Godzilla vs. Kong director, Adam Wingard. And apparently he's been thinking about this for a very, very long time. But he says, yeah, this is Face Off 2. I can't say what that means exactly, but this is either going to be the definitive follow-up to that movie and everything that entails, or I'm not going to make it because everything's got to line up perfectly. So this is Adam Wingard appears to be a huge, huge, huge fan of this movie. So I don't know. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with it. Are they going to somehow bring Nicolas Cage back? I mean, is he going to be like the twin of Castor Troy, or and is John Travolta going to be back, or is it going to be like a new set of characters that are going to kind of do the thing? I mean, we don't know yet. But this is interesting. I'm excited. Of course, Face Off is one of those guilty pleasures of mine. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how this goes. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time on the Golden Globes because it's just award shows is just not my thing. But Sunday night they did have the ceremony, and I just wanted to mention a couple of things, some couple of things that I found interesting. So yeah, Jon Batiste, Trent Reznor, and Atticus Ross, they won for Best Score for Soul. And of course, I'm proud of them. I love those guys. I think Jon Batiste did an amazing job in that score. I mean, really giving the soul to the score. I just loved it. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I've been fans of theirs for years and years and years. So I was happy to see that, and I was happy their acceptance speech was actually a lot of fun too. So I enjoyed that. But then I think that the other real big news is that Nomadland wins Best Picture Drama, and Chloe Zhao, the director, becomes the second woman in history to ever win Best Director, and she's the first Asian woman to win Best Director. And this bodes really well for something that we're looking forward to, and that's The Eternals. She's the director of The Eternals, and there's been a lot of talk about The Eternals lately that people around Marvel, they're so happy with how The Eternals came out. It's so good. They don't even know what to do with themselves. And of course, that's coming from people that have worked on it and that are surrounding, the project. So of course, what are they going to say? Oh, The Eternals, man, what a slog that movie is. Of course, they're going to be very, very, they're going to speak highly of it. But I'm very, very excited now. Very excited to see how that turns out, because we've got somebody who's, come on, when you get Best Director and this person is now going to be working on The Eternals for Marvel, that's interesting. Well, I say working. The movie's done. The movie's been done. It was supposed to come out in November. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. And real quick, just a couple of other things. We had Anya Taylor-Joy win Best Actress for Television Motion Picture, and it won Best Television Motion Picture for The Queen's Gambit. Of course, well deserved. And we saw that Aaron Sorkin won for Trial of the Chicago 7 for writing. Of course, I mean, like who didn't see that one coming? But yeah. So Golden Globes. So now, I guess what we need to do now is let's break down some of this Paramount Plus stuff. Yes, I know, another streaming service, right? But the fact is, they've got some interesting stuff on it. And yeah, it's launching this Friday, March 4th. Yeah, I guess let's dig into that. So, yes, Paramount Plus starts streaming March 4th, and there is kind of a ridiculous amount of content that's going to be available on it. I mean, you can see below. I mean, you've got stuff from CBS, from Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, MTV, BET, Smithsonian Channel, plus all of the movies that Paramount has been involved with over the last, umpteen years. I mean, there's just an incredible amount of movies that they're listing on there. Of course, the Godfather movies. You've got the Indiana Jones movies, which I mean, come on, it's kind of a big deal. And here we've kind of got the breakdown of what the pricing is going to be like. At first, you sort of look at this and you go, okay, this is a lot like Peacock, right? You've got a sort of a base subscription, that's ad supported, and then you've got the sort of the premium subscription. But this is what you're getting here. You're getting a bunch of live sports, including NFL. I mean, there's that's a thing. People love that sports ball. But then, you've got all the news stuff as well. You've got the entertainment. You've got the exclusive originals, thousands of movies, 30,000 TV episodes from CBS and shows on demand. Plus, you're going to be getting live TV from CBS as well. So there's a lot to this. And yeah, apparently, and this is something I just learned, is that the ad-supported version isn't coming out until June. So what is launching this Friday is the premium Paramount Plus subscription tier thing. So yeah, it's going to be $10 to start. I'm still kind of up in the air as to whether or not it's going to be something I'm going to take a look at. So I just want to take a moment and just kind of outline some of the new series that's going to be on Paramount Plus, because it's, like I said, there's some interesting stuff in here. Of course, they're relaunching Criminal Minds, which I got to say I don't care, but there's a lot of people that love that show, and they've loved that show for many years. So that's a thing. You've got sort of I guess a reimagining of Flashdance, which is interesting. You've got a new Star Trek. It's called Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and it's going to be about Captain Pike when he was in charge of the Enterprise. So that's interesting. You've got an Italian Job series, which is interesting. I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be, a bunch of heists and fun driving sequences and stuff like that. I mean, hey, you never know. I mean, it could be awesome. You've got The Man Who Fell to Earth, and this is Chiwetel Ejiofor. I hope I'm saying his name right. He's going to be starring in it. And it's based on the novel and the movie starring David Bowie. So yeah, The Man Who Fell to Earth. Very, very interesting there. You've got The Offer that's coming. Now, The Offer we'd actually spoken about before on this show. It's, Armie Hammer was going to be involved in it. And of course, because of his issues, he's out of that project. But this is surrounding Al Ruddy, the producer, and his experience making The Godfather. Kind of an interesting thing. I'm of course, as a fan of The Godfather, I'm interested in it. And then when it comes to some kids stuff, you've got a live action Dora the Explorer. You've got Rugrats. That's coming, another Rugrats series. You've got The Fairly Odd Parents. That's coming. Just a ton of reality shows. Of course, they're for comedies. They are sort of relaunching Frasier. So Kelsey Grammer is back. That's kind of interesting. I mean, if you're into that. And then they're going to make there's an untitled Beavis and Butthead movie in the works. So that's kind of fun, you know? And of course, all the CBS All Access shows that were there previously, you know, Picard and Star Trek Discovery and all of the stuff that they've been doing over there, that's going to be on Paramount Plus as well. Now, one of the more interesting projects is this Halo, right? A Halo series from Paramount Plus. Very interesting, especially when you consider that Xbox, right? Xbox has always been sort of in bed with Universal, right? Xbox, NBC, MSNBC, right? They're all working together, they're all tied together. You would have thought that if they were going to make a series about Halo, that it would have gone to Peacock, right? NBC, Universal, all that stuff. It's very, very interesting to see how this is going to play out. Of course, there's no details really about this yet, other than it's coming to Paramount Plus. So yeah, interesting stuff. And I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this. Now, to me, one of the more interesting things that made me kind of like my eyes opened wide was that they created Avatar Studios. And Avatar Studios is going to expand on Avatar The Last Airbender by doing an animated theatrical film. So yeah, I mean, that is in the works now. And I recently, I said like in the last few months, I've watched Avatar. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. Watched it on Netflix, by the way. But yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. And I'm interested to see how this plays out, because what's also interesting about this whole thing is, if you remember, there's a Netflix live action series that's in the works for Avatar, and the creators basically removed themselves from that project a few months back. I don't know if you remember this, but it's one of those interesting things. Like, okay, so what does it all mean? It has been sort of pointed out to me that the live action, although it's still going, it is going to be considered non-canon. So in the Avatar Last Airbender world, the Netflix series will not be included. It's not part of it. They can kind of go in whatever direction they want there. So that's kind of interesting. From a content standpoint, there's going to be some confusion there, I think. And it also makes you think, you know, are they going to have to change the name? You know, it's kind of like the movie was just called The Last Airbender, right? The M. Night Shyamalan movie, which I never saw. I think a lot of people would agree that that's probably a good thing. But yeah, it's going to be this whole thing is just really, really interesting. And of course, I mean, Paramount Plus is coming out of the gate kind of swinging with some interesting content. With all this, I have to be honest with myself and with you, in kind of the way that I'm trying to think about all this, right? Because yeah, I mean, I see some of this stuff and I get really, really excited. But I also have to be honest that this is not good for the customer, right? But I think that's what we have to realize. We have to realize that these big multi-billion-dollar companies, they don't care about how we want our content. They're going to put out the content that they believe we will buy into. You know, it's not about trying to give us a good experience, you know, post cable, right? You know, after we've all cut the cord. I mean, I don't know what people kind of envisioned, but I know that's one of the things that is one of the few things that Steve Jobs was working on toward the end of his life. Is he thought that he had cracked this idea of how he would be able to provide a service that would get all of this content from all of these content creators, these studios, and put them in a place where people can have a one-stop shop, basically, you know, where everything is, where everything sits here, right? It's I don't know if it's even something that can happen, you know? And if you think about it, every aspect of entertainment and services are all done this way, you know? Think about Google versus Apple, right? Android versus Apple. I guess you could say Android versus iPhone. You think about Xbox and Sony and Nintendo, right? They all have their own little walled gardens, and you you buy into whichever one or any or all that you want to. It's going to be the same for this kind of content. It's just not going away, you know? I mean, if you think about it, you've got Netflix, you've got Apple TV Plus, you've got HBO Max, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus. What am I missing? Right? There's more than that. But it's one of those things where you have to understand that from the studio's point of view, it doesn't make sense for them to license their content to some other provider. It just doesn't make sense. They don't make enough money, right? It makes more sense for them to create their own service and have all of their stuff put here, and we make all the money. And that's really what it is. If you could come up with the system to where everybody could funnel their content into it, and it would be lucrative for the studios, they would do it. Nobody's come up with it, obviously. Netflix has been around longer than any of these, and yet they're constantly losing their content to Peacock. I forgot Peacock earlier. They recently lost The Office to Peacock, right? It's off of Netflix. If you want to watch The Office, you have to go over to Peacock now. HBO Max and all these, they all have their own little section with their own little stuff, and you have to pay into each one. Now, here's what's interesting. Do you think that HBO Max is going to have to drop their prices? And maybe Netflix as well, because I have this theory that what people are going to end up doing is they're going to think, okay, Netflix is good for a lot of different stuff, so I'm going to keep Netflix. But which other one will I do this month? I don't think we're going to see, people buy into these annual subscriptions for all these services. It's just too expensive, at least from a customer standpoint. Me personally, I thought it was worth it to sign up for the 3-year thing for Disney Plus back before it launched. Because I was thinking, okay, wait, I get all the Marvel stuff and all the Star Wars stuff, and plus all the Disney and Pixar and all that. Yeah, it's kind of worth it for me, because of, it's the way I like to see content, right? So I was thinking that was a no-brainer for me. It ended up being almost $5 a month. But then you think, okay, HBO Max is $14.99 a month. Paramount Plus is $9.99 a month with a $4.99 ad-supported tier, just like Peacock is. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out, and if people just get fed up and say, you know what, I'll sign up for 1 month, binge all the stuff I want, and then just cancel it and not go back. I'm curious what everybody's going to do here. It makes sense. It makes sense from these studios' points of view to do it this way. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that along with all of their libraries of movies, right, that Paramount Plus is bringing in, the CBS All Access stuff and all of this new content, they're also going to be bringing their theatrical movies to Paramount Plus 45 days after the theatrical window. So yeah, the window is short here too, right? Just like what Universal's doing, where they're kind of doing it based off of box office, right? They basically give a movie 14 days to make a certain amount of money, and if it doesn't make a certain amount of money, we're just gonna put it on Peacock, right? And then if it does make the money, then we'll keep it in the theater for another 17 days, right? The 31-day window, and then after the 31 days, it'll go to Peacock, right? That's what they're kind of doing with Paramount Plus. But they're giving it a flat 45-day window. So movies like Mission Impossible 7, The Quiet Place Part 2, Top Gun 2, right? All of those movies are going to be on Paramount Plus eventually. So it really kind of makes you think. It's like, okay, what do we do here? How do we look at our content? Think about this. Top Gun 2, I guarantee you, after seeing the 4K disc, I'm going to want 4K version of Top Gun on disc, Top Gun 2 on disc. Will I even be able to get it? Because they're going to basically, I think what they're going to do is say, we're not making discs anymore. You have to buy into our service to get it. So this is where we're headed. And it's not about us. It's not about what's best for the consumer. It's about how much money can they make, each studio, with the content that they create. I mean, I think it's really that simple. And I'm really kind of curious about, what everybody thinks about that. And what do you think? I mean, do you think you're even going to do it? Do you even think that you're going to, you're going to do this. I mean, gosh, you got all these streaming services now. It's so tough to know what the best thing to do is. I mean, there's probably people that are big football fans that are saying, "Well, this is a no-brainer, right, for me because I get all the live sports as well." I don't know. It's really strange, because now we're in a new era, right? We're in the era of the streaming services, right? Cable is dropping off, right? It's dropping off and it's probably never going to recover. But now we've got a streaming service for every studio and almost every channel. And it's getting nuts. So I'm kind of curious what you think about all this. I mean, yeah, there's some great content on the way. There's some really exciting stuff that may be coming, but what do you think about all this? I mean, are you going to take part in Paramount Plus? Have you drawn the line with, some of the ones that were available previously? Are you a Netflix only person and that's it? I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious what you think. And so let me know down below what you think about all this and any of the other news items we talked about today. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So thank you so much for watching. I mean, again, this is so much fun to think about, to talk about, to discuss with you. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.